Elgato Stream Deck has to be their best and most reliable product. I mean, my first generation one is still working. Good afternoon and welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece variety Walkie Triple XL, and I'm going to show you today my absolute favorite of the Elgato products. It's sort of just a fire and forget. They just don't really break. Between my boy Krim and I, we've probably owned about 4, and all of them are still working. Mine being like one of the oldest, like first generation ones that came. I think I bought it about 6 to 8 months after launch. So it was brand spanking new sort of technology back then. Nothing really had been made like it. And now they've doubled down and they've made a V2 with some really nice improvements to the way that it functions. More, not really the way it functions, but the physical setup of it. And well, form with function is the new Stream Deck Plus, which has a couple of dials in it, which can be assigned to various things like Elgato key lights or volumes within your programs. So without further ado, without further gilding of a lily, let's go through what's in the box. Well, you get the Stream Decks themselves, and one comes with its own stand in the V2. It is a detachable stand, and then it has its own cable. And then on the left-hand side, you will be seeing the Stream Deck Plus, which is a built into its own stand sort of setup. It's not going to be as, say, portable maybe as the Stream Deck V2, but it's got a lot of dials and then an LED screen built into the middle of it as well. And that comes with a braided Type-C cable. I do quite like the angle and everything that's on the new V2, and the way that it channels out the back of the stand is much nicer than the V1. The V1 did have an adjustable stand, albeit a little bit rickety. It wasn't the best sort of put together, and then the cable was built into the Stream Deck itself, so not removable. So if that breaks, then you're pretty much throwing your Steam Deck away, which I think we'll all agree is less than ideal. However, that Stream Deck that you see there is still working. It still functions absolutely perfectly. I've used it extensively for production and for running esports events and stuff, and it's just never skipped a beat. I've had it, like I say, since like launch, really. It's probably 5-6 years old now, that device, and it still works absolutely perfectly. So when I saw the V2 and they'd made a couple of nice little changes and updates, they really did make it a lot better, especially even like the stand on the bottom. You can see the amount of rubberizing and stuff there compared to the older one. It's been improved significantly. The buttons and stuff and the little screens inside are pretty much exactly the same. There's no real reason to update those anyway. So between this V1 and the V2, there's no real difference functionality wise. You know, Elgato's obviously expanded the amount of inputs and stuff you can have, and the different programs and stuff it can support, and key presses and all the rest of it. So as that expands, they're basically exactly the same across the board and their functionality thereof. But now we get to the Stream Deck Plus. And this is a little bit different. What they've done is they've incorporated these 4 volume knobs that you see over at the bottom over there with an LCD screen readout for that volume level. And it's not limited to volume. It can be used for like dimming your lights, changing the color temperature of your Elgato key lights if you've got them, and then in-app stuff as well. And it is also compatible with the Wavelength software. So if you've got a Wave XLR or whatever the case is, you could then manage it from your Stream Deck Plus instead of using the actual XLR itself, which is kind of nice to have. And if you have a Wave 3, for instance, or a Wave 1, then you can assign all of your volumes onto this as well. So it's got really nice integration within its suite. But they've also added stuff like volumes within OBS itself, and then, like I said, lighting and stuff. You'll see in the demonstration I've got over there, I assigned the brightness of the Stream Deck itself to one of the volume knobs, and then you can see it going up and down and how it functions like that. So it is a really nice touch and a nice addition to have. The buttons are a little bit bigger. However, I will say that the build quality is maybe not as good actually as the Stream Deck V2. When I press these, I just want you to listen to the audio from them. Even over the soft mic, you can hear it's got quite a nice punchy sort of press to it, and it generally feels like the other Stream Deck. But this one, however, do you hear that? This is not quite as well built as this one, honestly. And Stream Decks are, like I say, my favorite Elgato products. So I was really into it from a perspective of like each of these are buttons plus a volume knob as well, and then you obviously got your screen readout and everything there. It's really good for that integration, but these buttons themselves are not fantastic compared to the ones before them. I don't know if it's the frame or how it's been put into it, but they just don't feel or sound quite as good as the Stream Deck V2 and Stream Deck XL, which we have over at Krimzas with all 50 gajillion buttons that it has. So all around, I do like them. The software, everything functions, like I said, exactly the same. It was super easy just to set up a demo on here and show you, well, basically, I fiddled with everything to see that it still functioned and stuff exactly the same. Nothing really has changed in the last few months. We had a bit of a major update a little while ago where they put in like multi-key press and that sort of stuff in the programming so that you could have one button to, you know, execute multiple actions and stuff. So nothing really has changed from that perspective. It's just the physical devices and how they're set up. And I love the direction of this. It's very, very good. Just increase that quality a little bit for us there, Elgato, because this is $200, I think, is the MSRP for this. And the V2 is $150. Yeah, it doesn't have quite as many functions, but it's got twice the amount of buttons on this. Even if you count each one of these plus the 8, that's only 12 buttons that you have over there. So it's very niche in its function, and it does sit itself a lot in line with the Elgato products, but there it's going to work fantastically. Like for instance, if you've got your key lights, then you can turn up and down the brightness or change the color temperature on the fly, and then have your volume on one, have maybe a browser source volume on the other, and you can do everything without having to even look at your OBS, which is, I think we can agree, is really nice to have. I just wish they kind of maybe take this idea and maybe make an XL version of it, Stream Deck Plus XL, where maybe you get 2 extra buttons like that, and then a whole nother row up top. Maybe push these in together, and then you can get a couple more rows in like that. Then it's going to be pretty much the all-in-one house, especially if you've got Elgato software and Elgato products to use with it. Anywho, that is all I have for you on the new Stream Decks. If you have enjoyed this review, then please hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.